We must seek a deeper psychology, a greater understanding of our own nature, because humanity itself is the only true danger we face. Has it ever occurred to you that you might not be the person you believe you are? That the thoughts filling your mind, the choices you make, and the desires that feel so personal may not have originated with you at all? What if there was an unseen force inside you, silent, profound, and obscure, that has been steering your life from its very beginning, entirely without your knowledge? This is not some speculative fantasy. This is psychology. And if one name is essential to grasping what is truly happening within your mind, it is Carl Gustav Jung. Are you weary of making the same mistakes over and over? Of undermining your own relationships? Of sensing something holding you back, dragging you down, even when life appears to be on the right track? It could be your shadow. It could be the archetypes. It might be the collective unconscious demanding to be heard. But what do these terms mean, and why are they important? Because to ignore these facets of your psyche is to navigate a minefield without your sight. You are bound to get hurt. You are bound to repeat cycles. You are bound to suffer. Worse still, you will attribute it to misfortune or destiny. Carl Jung is more than a psychologist. He is a cartographer of the human spirit. He charted the deepest recesses of the mind where no one else dared to venture, and his discoveries can shatter everything you think you know about who you are. This video is not a biography or a simple summary. It is a reflection. I am going to show you what you have spent years avoiding looking at. But be warned. Once you grasp Jung's concepts, your perspective will be permanently altered. You will begin to perceive things you never noticed before. You will finally recognize the monsters that reside within you. And perhaps for the very first time, you will grasp that the most formidable adversary in your life isn't out there. It is inside. The good news is that this foe can be transformed into your most powerful ally, but only if you possess the courage. So, breathe deeply, quiet your mind, and prepare yourself. Because this is, without a doubt, the only explanation of Jung you will ever need to hear. After this, you will never see yourself in the same light again. Carl Jung was no conventional psychologist. His interest wasn't merely in treating symptoms or helping people conform to a sick society. He aimed to go deeper, far deeper. He sought to comprehend the human soul. Jung stared into the abyss of the psyche and had the fortitude to plunge into it. And his findings there irrevocably changed the course of psychology. Born in Switzerland in 1875, Jung was raised amidst religious symbols, rituals, and an atmosphere thick with silence and mystery. From his youth, he sensed a deeper layer to human experience, something beyond mere words or logic. It's not surprising that he became Sigmund Freud's most brilliant protege, but also the one who would challenge him. Freud asserted that the human mind was driven primarily by repressed sexual urges. Jung perceived something more. He saw profound depths. He saw archetypes, symbols, myths, and collective energies. While Freud examined the recent past, Jung looked back thousands of years, connecting with the ancestral foundations of our being. For this reason, a split between them was destined to happen. Jung didn't just want to cure mental illness. He wanted to reconnect human beings to their own essence. He saw the psyche as a vibrant, dynamic system, fraught with opposing forces, light and shadow, intellect and feeling, masculine and feminine. For him, suffering was not an error of existence, but a summons to transform. He developed a new framework for understanding humanity, analytical psychology. It is a path that doesn't try to eliminate what's wrong with you, but rather to understand, integrate, and make conscious all that has been rejected, hidden, and denied. For Jung, the real enemy wasn't suffering, it was unconsciousness. But why is any of this still relevant? Because our society today remains unwell. We are still ensnared in destructive cycles. We continue to suppress our emotions, numb our emptiness, and run from our pain. Jung not only foresaw this, but also provided a path, a map to our inner world, a chance to understand our profound disconnection and what is needed to reconnect. He offers no simple fixes or hollow promises, but he gives you what no one else can, the truth about yourself. And among the most unsettling truths Jung shared is the existence of a mental layer that is not personal, but is common to all of humanity. A vast ocean of symbols, images, and energies that direct our lives even if we remain oblivious to it. In the next part, we will explore this enigmatic realm Jung named the collective unconscious, and you will see that many more people are living inside you than you ever imagined. Most people believe their thoughts, feelings, and anxieties are theirs alone, that everything inside their mind is a product of their personal life, their upbringing, their culture, and their individual memories. Carl Jung fundamentally disputed this notion. He showed that a deeper, more ancient, and more powerful layer of the psyche exists that is not yours, but still controls you. He termed this the collective unconscious. Picture your mind as a lone island. Your entire life, your memories, traumas, and personal stories resides on its surface. But beneath this island lies a vast, dark, unseen ocean that connects all human beings. In this sea swim the symbols, images, and patterns formed over millennia. These are the ancient myths, the primal archetypes, the forces that were here long before your birth and that continue to live within you, influencing how you think, love, and grieve. The collective unconscious isn't just a poetic idea. It is a psychic fact that appears in our dreams, our fantasies, our religions, the movies that resonate with us, and the stories that endure for ages. This explains why disparate civilizations in different eras created strikingly similar myths featuring heroes, sages, monsters, journeys, and redemptions. These narratives aren't mere cultural fabrications. They are reflections of the fundamental structure of the human soul. Jung proposed that behind every human behavior lies an archetypal pattern. When you experience a fear of abandonment, you're tapping into an ancient archetype. When you feel a profound urge to belong, to find purpose, to transcend yourself, you are being guided by energies that have existed since the dawn of our species. This is precisely why dismissing the collective unconscious is like dismissing gravity. You can act as if it's not there, but its pull will still affect you. It will appear in your relationships, your decisions, and your recurring patterns until you see that you are not just battling your own personal demons, but the demons of all humanity. But what exactly populates this collective unconscious? Who are these invisible forces shaping your conduct without your consent? Jung gave them a name. He called them archetypes. Universal forms present in all of us that function as patterns for behavior, emotion, and thought. And of all the archetypes, one is the most neglected, the most feared, and the most perilous. It dwells inside you, and until you acknowledge it, it will continue to command your life. In the next part, we'll discuss the shadow, the dark aspect of your personality that you try to conceal, but which is watching you constantly. If this is resonating with you, please click the subscribe button to support the channel. Thank you for your support. Have you ever done something you later bitterly regretted, unable to even articulate why? Have you ever erupted in anger at someone only to later claim, "I have no idea what came over me"? Have you ever experienced envy, jealousy, rage, or pride, but opted to ignore or rationalize those feelings rather than confront them? If so, you've already encountered your shadow. You simply lack the nerve to face it. Carl Jung believed every person has a dark side, a rejected, suppressed, and denied part composed of everything you refuse to admit exists within you. Your most shameful impulses, your unacceptable desires, your weaknesses, your arrogance, your cruelty, your neediness, your vanity, your fury. All of this is inside you, and the more you attempt to suppress it, the more powerful it becomes. The shadow is everything you concealed to gain acceptance. It's what you had to stifle to conform. It is the child who was disciplined, the teenager forced into silence, the adult who learned to smile while breaking apart inside. And here is the unvarnished truth. Everything you refuse to confront in your shadow begins to steer your life from below. The shadow doesn't vanish. It morphs. It shows up in your judgments of other people, in the anger that flares up without cause, in the shame that leaves you frozen, in the inner critic that tells you you're not good enough, in the self-sabotage that stops you from progressing, always at the most critical moment. And the more you convince yourself that you're a good person, the more hazardous your shadow becomes. Because you don't see anger, selfishness, or envy as parts of you, you project them onto the world. You begin to see evil everywhere else but never within yourself. Jung famously said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." In other words, as long as you pretend the shadow doesn't exist, you will remain its puppet. You will repeat the same cycles. You will be drawn to people who harm you. You will ruin your own opportunities. You will run from love, success, and freedom because deep down you feel unworthy. But there is another way. There is a method to face this darkness, not to annihilate it, but to integrate it. Because the shadow isn't purely destructive. It also contains immense power. It holds a raw energy that, if channeled correctly, can completely transform you. But this requires a willingness to venture into dangerous territory, to meet the parts of yourself that have been exiled, forgotten, and smothered. In this confrontation, the genuine process of self-knowledge begins, and Jung gave this process a name. He called it individuation. It is a long, arduous path, but one that is essential for anyone who wishes to be truly free. Next, we will explore how this process unfolds and why it is the only real path to becoming whole. Because as long as you live in pieces, you will live in conflict. Most people live their entire lives trying to fit a mold, to please their parents, to meet societal demands, and to adhere to cultural standards. They reshape themselves, contort themselves, and numb themselves, all to sidestep a confrontation with their true selves. Yet, deep within, there is a void, a restlessness, a sense that something crucial is absent. Carl Jung understood this feeling perfectly. He identified it as the absence of individuation. Individuation is not superficial self-help. It's not about becoming your best self or manifesting your desires. It is the raw, demanding, and profound journey of becoming a complete human being. It involves confronting your own shadow, integrating your inner opposites, and reconnecting with your soul. It means ceasing to be merely a mask, what Jung termed the persona, and beginning to unearth the true self that lies beneath it. To individuate is to let the person you thought you were die, so that you can be reborn as something more authentic. It is the dismantling of the ego, the shattering of illusions. It is facing the parts of yourself you have denied for years. It is realizing you are not as virtuous as you'd like to be, nor as wicked as you fear. It is accepting that you are both light and dark, strength and weakness, courageous and cowardly, all at once. And this is the part nobody mentions. This process is incredibly painful. It demands that you release the lies you constructed for your survival. It forces you to stop blaming others and to start taking ownership of your own existence. It requires you to stop living for acceptance and to start living for wholeness. Individuation doesn't happen suddenly. It emerges through crises, losses, and breakdowns. Each time something within you dies, a belief, a relationship, an identity, something new is born to take its place. But this transformation only occurs if you are willing to face the discomfort, the doubt, and the chaos. Jung noted that the encounter with the self is always a defeat for the ego, and he was right. Most people choose to avoid this path, preferring the comfort of not knowing. But those who find the courage to face the darkness discover something invaluable: freedom. Because by integrating your rejected aspects, by confronting your shadow, and by listening to your soul, you become who you were always meant to be, but never dared to become. And the soul does speak. It speaks constantly. It just doesn't use words. It uses symbols, images, and stories. It speaks through your dreams. And if you learn how to listen, you can unlock secrets that your rational mind could never reach. In the next part, we will venture into this mysterious terrain. We will explore what Jung called the symbolic language of the psyche and understand why your dreams might hold the key to your transformation. While the modern world dismisses dreams as random mental static or nonsensical debris, Carl Jung took the opposite view. For him, dreams are the voice of the psyche. They are not random noise. They are messages, encoded, cryptic, and symbolic, but never meaningless. Every night as you sleep, something within you awakens and begins to communicate. The problem is, you have not learned how to interpret its language. Jung viewed dreams as the unconscious mind's effort to restore psychic equilibrium. When your conscious self wanders too far from its core, the unconscious sends images, scenes, archetypes, and symbols, whatever is needed to guide you back to your center. Dreams, therefore, are not just replays of daily events. They are guidance, directives, invitations, warnings, and sometimes urgent alerts. Consider this. Why do you dream of falling when you're losing control in your waking life? Why do you dream of your teeth falling out when you feel powerless? Why does the same symbol reappear in different dreams? This isn't random. This is the soul trying to make contact. But the soul does not communicate with rational language. It communicates with symbols. And here we find one of Jung's most significant contributions, the study of archetypal symbolism. Lions, snakes, houses, forests, mirrors, doors, tunnels, mothers, shadows. These elements don't appear in your dreams randomly. They symbolize parts of your psyche. They are fragments of your soul attempting to surface, and each symbol carries an energy and a purpose. A house, for instance, might represent your inner self. A snake could signify transformation. A ladder might suggest a spiritual ascent, or a descent into the unconscious, depending on its direction. A mirror could be the reflection of the shadow you refuse to see. Learning this language is like mastering an ancient tongue, the language of your own soul. Jung believed that the more we disregard the symbols in our dreams, the further we drift from ourselves. And when we stray from the soul's center, we become lost. We fall into crisis. We grow anxious, depressed, and disoriented. We lose our sense of purpose because we've lost touch with our internal compass. Dreams are that compass. Ignoring them is like trying to navigate a labyrinth with your eyes closed. Do you want to discover who you truly are? Do you want to understand why you repeat certain patterns? Why you feel stuck? Why you harbor specific fears? Examine your dreams. Write them down. Contemplate them. Confront your symbols. They hold answers your conscious mind is incapable of articulating. But dreams are not the only things that communicate symbolically. There is a much deeper, older, and more powerful force that also manifests through them. Archetypes. They are the unseen characters living inside you, the real directors of the theater of your life. In the next part, we will reveal who these archetypes are and how they dictate your emotions, decisions, and relationships, even when you think you are in full control. Have you ever found yourself behaving in a way that felt utterly foreign, as if you were not yourself? Have you felt like you were reenacting patterns with unknown origins? Or that you consistently attract the same kind of person, the same kind of hurt, the same kind of narrative? Carl Jung knew precisely why this occurs. Because inside you dwell unseen forces, true psychic entities that don't just influence your choices. They direct your life. These forces are called archetypes. Archetypes are universal structures of the psyche. They are as ancient as humanity itself. They exist in the collective unconscious. They are like internal blueprints that shape your behaviors, your emotions, and your personal stories. And the most disquieting fact is, you can live your entire life directed by an archetype without ever knowing it. Jung identified many of these archetypes. The hero, for instance, is the force that strives for mastery, confronts adversity, and attempts to achieve greatness. The sage is the part that seeks knowledge, truth, and wisdom. The shadow, as we've discussed, is everything that has been suppressed and denied. The anima and animus represent the feminine within men and the masculine within women, energies that must be integrated for us to become complete. These archetypes are not mere concepts, they possess energy. When an archetype takes over the psyche, it quite literally possesses you. It seizes control of your consciousness and steers your life without permission. This is why you sometimes act like a different person. It's why certain relationships draw you into dynamics that seem scripted in advance. You are living under the influence of an activated archetype. People who constantly rescue others, even as they destroy themselves, are often driven by the hero archetype. Those who desperately seek approval and fear rejection may be caught in the archetype of the wounded child. Someone who seems perpetually drawn to chaos and self-destruction is likely living under the sway of an unintegrated shadow. And here is the key. These archetypes are not your enemies. But when they remain unconscious, they enslave you. When they are acknowledged and integrated, they empower you. They are gateways, portals. When you begin to recognize who is speaking within you, you start to reclaim control of your own narrative. But to do that, you must be conscious. You need to learn to spot these internal voices, these symbolic patterns, these mythic forces hiding in your relationships, your reactions, and your desires. Because only then can you stop being a character and become the author of your own story. And it is right here that Jung's insights become even more critical. Because today, more than ever, we are inundated with stimuli, distractions, and pressures that distance us from our essence. We live in a world that constantly pushes us outward, completely severing us from our inner reality. The result is a deep emptiness, a collapse of meaning, a spiritual crisis disguised as stress, depression, and anxiety. Next, we will understand why Jung's ideas are more relevant now than ever before, and how they can offer solutions to the psychological chaos of modern existence. If this message is resonating, you'll find immense value in my ebook, Beyond the Shadow. It demystifies Jung's key concepts and provides tools for deeper self-understanding. The link is in the pinned comment. We live in an era of information, yet we have never felt so lost. We can access anything at any moment, and still we are adrift, fragmented, and weary. Modernity promised freedom, but gave us anxiety. It promised connection, but submerged us in hollow comparisons. And amid this perpetual noise, a silent question echoes within millions. Who am I really? It is precisely here that Carl Jung's work becomes more crucial and necessary than ever. Jung didn't offer simple fixes. He didn't sell happiness in a bottle or promise success through positive thinking. What he offered was infinitely more valuable, a path back to the soul. A way to reintegrate with all that has been forgotten, suppressed, and warped by a society fixated on productivity, image, and performance. He foresaw this crisis of identity. He understood how modern individuals would be consumed by the persona, the social mask we adopt to be accepted, praised, and promoted. He knew that by ignoring the shadow, we become puppets of the very forces we deny. That by dismissing our dreams, we sever the connection to our unconscious. That by mocking symbols and archetypes, we lose the map to our own being. Jung wrote about this decades ago, but it feels as if he is describing our current reality. People feel hollow despite their accomplishments. Relationships are increasingly shallow, brittle, and disposable. Young people in their 20s face existential crises. There are explosions of anxiety, depression, and disorders that medicine attempts to manage but fails to truly understand. The modern world sold us the fantasy that we can live solely on the surface, but the soul will not be ignored forever. And when it cries out, it doesn't ask for likes. It asks for meaning, for depth, for integration. Jung was not a therapist for times of calm. He was a guide for times of collapse, times like these. Because when everything external, status, success, control, loses its meaning, the only way forward is inward. And this internal journey is terrifying, because inside, you will not only find light, but also monsters, traumas, masks, and painful truths. But you will also discover something no one else can give you, your true self. You will not fix your life with empty affirmations or shortcuts. But if you have the courage to face yourself, to shed your illusions, and to embark on this process that Jung called inner transformation, then yes, there is hope. And this video exists for that very reason. To remind you that a path exists, that your pain has a purpose, that you are not broken, you are just fragmented, and you can be made whole again. But what does this mean in practical terms? How do you begin this journey back to yourself? How do you move from concept to genuine transformation? In the final part, we will conclude this exploration with a raw and essential truth and show you why this video might be the very turning point your soul has been awaiting. You have spent your entire life trying to fit in, to protect yourself, to belong. You acted strong when you were falling apart. You smiled when every part of you was crying out for help, and somewhere along that path, you lost track of who you were. You forgot your essence, your mystery, your creative turmoil, your soul. But now, something inside you has begun to stir. And it is not by chance that you are here. Jung believed that nothing is truly random, that even the most casual encounters are expressions of the unconscious trying to reveal something to you. Perhaps this video is exactly that. A call to stop running, a call to stop deceiving yourself, a call to leave the shallows and plunge into the depths of your own psyche. What Jung teaches is not easy to accept because it demands bravery, it demands pain, it demands accountability. But it is also freeing because the moment you realize you are not broken, just unconscious, you reclaim your power, the power to change, to integrate, to heal. You don't have to understand it all right now. You don't need to decode every dream or name every archetype. But you must take the first step, the step of honesty, the step of saying, enough. Enough of living on autopilot. Enough of denying your pain. Enough of being a captive of a shallow version of yourself. From this point on, everything is different, because now you are aware, and what has been seen cannot be unseen. I want to extend an invitation. If this video has awakened a part of you that was dormant, leave a comment below. Share which of these ideas challenged you the most, which truth struck a chord, which part of your shadow you know you need to face but have been avoiding. Because simply articulating this, you are already shining a light into the unconscious, and that is where liberation begins. If you found this video meaningful, the next one is just as vital, perhaps more so, because the inner journey does not end here. The soul, once awakened, yearns for more. So click on the next video and continue this exploration, because you are at the very beginning of what could be the greatest transformation of your life. I'll see you there.